Hello, Amazing Ampharos here with part 6 of my The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past Minimalist Run. In this segment, I will be focusing on clearing the third major Light World dungeon, the Tower of Hera. Ascending Death Mountain isn't very interesting, so let me talk about what I'm going to see in the dungeon. This dungeon has a lot of enemies who attack in really close quarters, so you have to be pretty adept at your foot game, moving around them, swiping at the right times. And at the top of this dungeon is Moldorm, who some players find him to be one of the hardest bosses, some find him one of the easiest. I'll hopefully be able to show you guys how to make him one of the easiest. And of course, at this warp here, you just got to keep in mind not to warp right on top of the heart piece. Watching this video should show you exactly where it is, so you don't have to worry about doing that yourself. And otherwise, there's not a lot interesting going on in this dungeon. I used the magic mirror in a few points to speed it up. It's really nice, especially when you have enemies bearing down on you, right when you've gotten the last thing you need in a far-flung corner. This is a useful trick in a few of the later dungeons as well, though I don't think it actually saves time anywhere as much as it does here. And this attacking tile room is a room I've seen a lot of people take a lot of unnecessary hits on. While you can run in circles to avoid the tiles, the easiest approach is to slash them, and there are two basic strategies. One that I show at the start is to just slash your sword wildly while spaced a mild distance away from the tile. That will guarantee that the tile will eventually fall right into your sword swing, though if you stand too close, the tile will hit you between your swings eventually. The other is to charge a spin attack. Though it's easy to mess up and start charging the spin too early, and once you have a full charge, the tile hitting your sword will cause you to unleash a spin attack. The trick is to wait until the second tile comes up, which means the first one that you're trying to hit is about to launch, and then start charging your swing. The exact timing is variable, but it leaves you a wide window to be able to have your sword drawn, but not to charge it far enough that you're committed to a spin attack. And now I've reached the point where I'm beginning the ascent to this dungeon. The only real notable thing about the ascent is dealing with these blue guys. I'm not really sure what they're supposed to be. They home in on you really ferociously, and they have bouncy shells. Or at least I assume they're supposed to be bouncy shells, because whenever you hit them, you go flying back a lot. They go flying back a lot, and whenever they hit you, they seem to inflict a lot of pushback too. I can't really think if there are any enemies in other Zelda games like them either, so they're certainly interesting. I should also note that right now, while you're passing by the last of the crystal switches, it sure seems like it'd make it easier to switch them over to blue, but you should definitely leave them on red. At the top of the dungeon, there's about 12 or 14 pots in a row, all surrounded by the red crystal blocks, all of which have hearts in them. If you have problems with Moldorm, those hearts basically guarantee that you can't die, which is worth way more than this small time saving that the blue crystal switch would get you earlier in the dungeon. And in terms of getting the moon pearl, I'm just doing it the by the books way. You can bomb yourself over that gap, actually, to get the moon pearl in a much flashier way. But I recommend the safe approach. Now, before I enter the fight, which is going to end a little quickly, let me just talk about Moldorm, who I'm rapidly approaching. The whole trick with Moldorm is that you want to move in a circular pattern and stay in the wide open area. Even if Moldorm goes off to the side, all this is really doing is wasting your time. As you keep running in the circles, he won't be able to hit you because his movement algorithm, while random, will usually try to track you, so you'll eventually get behind him. And he'll expose his tail to you a lot of times. Also, no matter what you do, always hold toward the center of the arena. Even if you hit his head and get thrown back, or get hit, as long as you're holding toward the center of the arena, Moldorm can never knock you off. And as you saw, that was a pretty cut and dry fight for me, and I now have our wonderful red colored Pendant of Wisdom, and that will wrap up this segment. I'll see you in next segment where I draw the legendary Master Sword.